दोस्तों आपका स्वागत है ट्यूटर्स इन दिल्ली की ट्यूटर टॉक शो पे। आज हमारे साथ है अनुज सर, जो बेसिकली इकोनॉमिक्स और इंग्लिश पढ़ाते हैं सीनियर सेकेंडरी और सेकेंडरी के स्टूडेंट्स को, बट वो खुद एक बिजनेसमैन है। आज हम उनसे जानेंगे कि आखिर उन्होंने टीचिंग स्टार्ट कैसे की। सो हेलो अनुज सर, कैसे हैं
Hello,
आप?
good evening. I'm good. Okay, so it's a very interesting story. So I was thinking of starting off my business. My only priority was to do something that I love to do. And being an economics student, of course, I had always passion for commenting on the economic concepts of the topics. I used to write for something, certain topics of economic interest and all, and because of which, my passion was there in economics. And at the same time, I would tell you one thing, I was not very great at English initially, but ever since after graduation, I had started loving this language somehow. And thereafter, I had made it a point to improve upon this language every now and then. Believe me, from there on, I had cleared my entrance exam for MBA, wherein it was very, very tough at that point in time, wherein you need to learn five antonyms and synonyms for each and every word and all. And from there, it became a passion to improve, excel. And when I went into the uh, corporate world, of course, this was my biggest asset. I realized the fact that my corporate presentations were one of the best, and because of which the conversion ratio was really high. So that was one thing I always thought was one of my strengths. When I came here and I saw the educational system, I saw there was a huge gap. Believe me, people call them teachers, but people not actually trying to really mentor the kids, really trying to understand the problem of the kids. I always say one thing, that schools are there actually to take exams. They every now and then it's like they're taking just exams. It's like a malnutrition person, wherein you are curing a malnutrition person by doing his blood test every time and telling him that he's lacking in calcium and iron, but who's going to feed him?
Yes,
That
exactly.
is what I really found, and that is one thing that I found, that I thought that I should actually take it as a service, wherein I should help these kids, and that's a duty. So it's more of a passion for me, and it's not a business actually. You can do a lot of things for business, of course, but I think that most important is the passion and nothing else.
A very positive point from your end, sir. Because being seeing things and then working on it, it's quite different. We all look at things, we all like look what's the issue, but taking an initiative is a like different level. Very
Yes.
interesting point. And want to know that there is something else who motivated or who indulged you in this teaching line, or like something education related that you want to change now. You are
See,
still not fine with it.
my I always believe in one fact, that you know it's not the student who fails, it's the teacher who fails, right?
Right.
It's basically because of the fact that every child has an immense potential. If you
Yes.
are able to ignite that potential, if you are able to really understand where the what level of help that kid wants and where is he exactly lacking, if we are able, we are like doctors, we are like educational doctors, to really understand the deficiency in the kid. It's like that the way we are teaching right now is that we are like those doctors, irrespective of the fact, whatever the problem is, everyone is giving you crocin, and then
Right.
we say that the patient is bad. So if there are 500 students in a class, that too in any school you'll have 12, 13 sections and all, do you think that the approach is different, apart from the fact that there are some outperformers who are treated differently and others are considered like outcasts? Do you think that there is anything else, any other focus which is being done in terms of their development? Or do we want to say that people who score very well in exams are the people who are very, very successful in life? It's only because of the fact we are not able to take out the hidden or the latent talent from them. So it is the
Exactly.
duty of a teacher. That is my only perspective, is to really understand how can I help a particular student in becoming a better individual, in terms of his expression, in terms of his understanding. That's it. Numbers don't matter. Marks will come and go, but the personality has to be improved. And that
Yes.
is what the focus is. If a student has studied economics and he cannot talk about the basic economic facts, irrespective of the fact he has scored 100 out of 100, I think it's a failure in life.
Right. Exactly.
Bookish
Because
knowledge is not going to help us just. I am not saying that 100 marks is not important, but what is important is the process of development that we need to focus on. And that is what it is more important. When a student would understand the subject, he would start living the subject. When a student would start living the subject, we will not have to tell him to learn. He'll study on his own, and that is where the gap is.
right. So basically, I too agree that we should like go on and find the exact talent, because everyone is not meant for everything.
Yeah,
Like
we need
it's
to
not
have tailor-made solutions for every kid. That is what
so.
is about.
Like basically today, or I talk about the past also. The parents' perspective about study and education is quite different with the topic
Yes.
we are discussing right now. So,
Yeah.
what do you think that what parents should like change in themselves or their mindset, so that their child or kid would be developed as per his or her ability
See,
or talent?
every parent wants the kids to be successful. I do want the same for my kid as well, but at the same time we need to look at the kids aspect as well, right? If there is a point wherein a kid is not understanding and is too focused on results, you know in long run he's not going to succeed, because he'll not get that kick out of it. My point is that we really need to help the kid. We don't need to test the kid first of all. We really need to understand where he needs help. I would use the word help. A lot of kids need help nowadays. We're not
Yes.
teaching. They need help in terms that we need to tell him that, see, you are smart enough, you're good enough, and you can be better than the best. That faith has to come in. They should not just blindly go out in the competitive world thinking that I have to score, and then they of course resolve many a times to answer plus means and all, which is not right. My point is that we need to help the kid in building his confidence, in building his morale, and then really understanding where is he lacking. The moment you are able to fill the gap, the moment he is really understanding the subject, believe me, that is the very day he'll start performing in that particular subject. Most of the times, we fear. What do we mean by fear? Fear is the fear of unknown. When we don't know anything, then only we fear about it. And when we eliminate that fear of unknown from the kid, that is where you see the kid will actually excel in every aspect. It's always said, that the egg should break from within. You should not apply the external force. And similarly is with the kids. The day they really have that passion from within, that yes, I really love this subject and I really want to do something on it, the parents don't even have to think twice about it. Their job is done. Our job is only to ensure that we are able to help them to really understand and excel in that. That's it. And you will see excellent results.
Exactly. So that's actually your perspective is really different, and I personally loved it, because this perspective is not done with everyone. Neither, what we say, neither everyone is able to digest it.
Yes. See,
Right.
that's the reason that everyone is not very successful in life.
Right.
Not every student delivers. The only thing is that I there's a very common parallel in corporate. They say that you deliver. I don't know, how do you do it? So I always used to ask, then when you don't know how to do it, how would the other guy do? Even the parents also want this. They'll say that I don't know, you have to succeed. You should know.
Yes.
We should know. Because
Yes.
if no one knows the problem, then how would the solution come?
Right.
Solution is very simple and straight. That we have to be hand in hand with the students, with the kids, so that They think that they're not alone, but there is someone who can really help them out. And of course, I always tell my students that don't fail me, right? They don't get failed, I get failed. So a lot of my students are under pressure that my reputation will get spoiled, right? So I work with them, so they have a dual pressure. I said, okay, तुम्हारा तो हो जाएगा यार, मेरी reputation मत खराब करो, it's my business, खराब हो जाएगा. And then they say, no, no, we will not let you down, come what may. So it is always there.
Yes.
So we need to have excellent relationship with the student as excellent. They can share every possible thing, right? And that is where, see, it's a very pious relation. Today is Buddha Purnima, of course, Guru Purnima, what we say. And of course, how many people really consider ourselves as Guru is what is more important. Guru is not a person who comes, gives a lecture for an hour and takes away money. Guru is one person who really, really touches your life. How many people can really recall you after 20 years is going to be a success. So that is what we really need to look at.
Okay, so anything related to the current situation, because the education system is going towards the online education, and COVID situation has also impacted on education as well.
So it's a
So
blessing in disguise, actually. It's a blessing in disguise. The world has evolved always, and
yes,
that's the need of the hour.
people
Why is it?
are not
Why?
able to like accept it. Na? Say there are
Yes.
people who are not able to accept it. So what, like basically, like when we are switching to online education is safe also and it's good also. The kid
It's
would be
safe in every
actually
aspect. I would
concerned.
say it's safe in every aspect. It's more accountable. The tutor knows that you are being recorded. So,
Yes,
of course,
you
there's a sense
should know
of
that you are being
accountability.
recorded.
The sense of accountability in a lot of things, right? And at the same time, it saves a lot of time. Like I was taking 14 classes in a day in the month of Jan, Feb, and March, and for taking 14 hours, 14 classes, I was actually devoting 18 hours. So 4 hours was my traveling time,
Right.
right? And my my efficiency levels were not that high as I am there. I think that today students stand to gain because in our class we can easily extend it by 5-10 minutes because I don't need to commute. I can go on to the next class, right? I always keep a buffer of 15 minutes of class in between. So students, as it is, they find it much better in terms of communication. They can recall, they can record in case they have missed out certain points. It's really good, and believe me, of course, it's really good for our environment. Because we are not burning any fossil fuels unnecessarily, right? We are not doing unnecessarily. We are not actually. It's safe from the kids' point of view in the present context because everyone is liable for infection. I can also get infection and I can also get infected. So I would think that that this is really a blessing in disguise and it's going to continue. The prudent people are going to continue for that for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So let us make this session an interesting. So I'll play a rapid round with you.
Okay.
Small questions.
Yeah.
A one-word answer. You
Yeah.
can do it. So basically, I will start with who was your first student?
My first student was a guy called Atharv, and he was like it was 15 days before the exam, and I was just thinking of I was in process of establishing my business. Someone called up and said, can you help out this guy?" And I taught him English, and I told him the basic concepts. I said, go on basics and all, and everything and all, and he got 92 out of 100. And he called. I said, sir,
Really?
I don't believe I got 92. I said, good. I also gained confidence. I said, good, yeah, I think that I can do this. So then I really went through, of course, all those question papers and all, and then of course highest marks is 98 till date. While girls, of course, have always scored better than boys. So
Okay. So you said that girls score better than boys, but who is more talkative, girls or boys?
boys,
Boys.
yeah.
An incident regarding this?
Huh?
Any incident? Any incident? Like
See, there are
boys are.
like there are a lot of not one. I have talked to so many students throughout, but there are like set of boys, like who are very talkative, two brothers. But I've always told them you are at liberty to talk as much as you can. If you'll talk for 15 minutes, I'll extend the class by 30 minutes. So don't think that you're going to pass up the time. So when you tell them this, of course, then they tend to like. Otherwise, they have so much of stories to tell. I don't know. So even I'm teaching to one of them right now. So very naughty when they come on. So their screen shows dawn. So all the sort of naughty stuff. But that is the way because they enjoy the class. My biggest compliment from one of my students has been even this year is that she told me, sir, that I really start feeling very bad, the week I don't have your classes and all. So we need to have a class. So that is the best fee I have got actually. So
Because for a teacher, when a student missed the class,
yes,
is very good.
yes,
A good feeling.
that's the biggest earning for me. So
Okay. It's actually you are getting nice comments. What to say? Okay, so the last question from my end is did you like faced any when you were a student, not you were teacher when you were a student, any like conversation with your teacher that you say, no, I am not his type or her type. क्या कह रही है ये
no, actually,
पूछेंगे.
believe me, I have been a very different sort of a student, especially during my MBAs and all. And while I was doing my MBA, I was like, no teacher could afford to give less than 30 marks to me in internals because I used to make their life miserable. So we had a system of presentations. So everyone had to give presentations, and for others' presentations also, I used to study, and I used to ask all sort of weird questions. So my teachers, my professors, till now they know me, of course, and I'm there with them, and of course, they know for me for this that I have always believed in doing something to the least, to the maximum limit, enjoying it. People used to say कि class कब खत्म होगा, and I used to say, wow, one more opportunity to ask question. And that is, believe me, if you do this, studying is so much of fun. You can create fun out of everything. You can
Exactly.
see a thing as a boredom, or you can actually see something as wherein you can ignite interest of others as well. And the entire flavor of the class used to change during those days, and people used to prepare for my presentation. So the class which was engaged in actually passing of the time was engaged more in learning, and everyone was learning in the process. So it is the perspective that you have. You can change everything. I had very cordial things with my teachers as well. Of course, there was one of my teachers of organizational behavior in MBA, wherein I went to her and said, ma'am, what you're teaching is not right. And she said, you do know what is right? I said, yes. She said, you can guide the class. I said, okay. And I taught the entire class, and the class was laughing. I said, what's there to laugh? Because the teacher has the responsibility to teach the right things. It's not that when we are students, then teacher can speak anything. And I tell this thing to my students, I can also go wrong. I'm not God. I can be wrong, but I will accept on face that I am wrong,
Right.
because we are in process of learning. I'm still learning, and I have to learn till the last moment of life. That's the only way I'll grow. My
Interesting.
students
Very
have been great
interesting to know
teachers.
about you, sir.
Teachers, students are the greatest teachers. You learn so many things. They've taught me so many things about Zoom, so many things about everything. So I think that today's students are the best. We really need to believe in them. That's it.
Okay, so before ending up this, I want to know that do you have any Guru month for all your students?
I only have Guru months, and that is that be true to yourself. Please be true to yourself. We we should not think that if someone is watching us or not. We should know what is right for us. There are a lot of I always tell this thing to my students that no one tells you, no parent tells the student with what effort they're teaching them, what amount of hard work they have to do, how many compromises they have to make to pay for your classes and all. So please be true to your goal, give your best, because this time is not going to come again. These are the golden years of life, make or break years. We'll only repent if we don't work. So let's make the most of it. That's it. You should not think that whether our parents are watching, my teacher is watching, or whosoever is watching. It's okay. Let's give our best.
It was pleasure talking to you, sir. Actually, my personal experience is like I'm wow. Okay, दोस्तों यही थे, हमने आज बात की है अनुज सर से जो इकोनॉमिक्स पढ़ाते हैं और इंग्लिश भी पढ़ाते हैं। आपके लिए बहुत ही ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग होने वाला है इनसे पढ़ने के लिए। इफ़ यू वांट टू कांटेक्ट हिम, हमारी वेबसाइट पे जाइए tutorsindaily.co.in। यू कैन कांटेक्ट हिम फॉर फ्री, नो फीस। यू कैन जस्ट get a tutor online and connect to him for he. We have a tutor directory. We are a network of tutors. So आज के लिए bye bye. We'll meet again with a tutor with a interesting story and of course कुछ सीखने को मिलेगा. Bye bye.
Thank you.